Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. First timer on Ron Siegel Radio, Alisa Johnson is with us. Dogs on Deployment, welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. National Backyard Day. Okay. Josh had to explain this one to me. I am old. National 3D Day. Okay, so it's March 3rd, 3D. Okay, I'm a quick study, I guess, sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but...
What's the big idea?
Okay, we've got Certified Nurses Day. We appreciate all of our nurses. And as the #1 lending team in America for Homes for Heroes, we thank our nurses as well as all of the other heroes out there. Our veterans, our active duty military, love them. Nurses, we talk about educators, first responders, all of them. And we've got National Laugh Day. Well, I've been married for almost 38 years. I'm constantly being laughed at, but that's a whole different story. And let's take a look at this one. Oh, I've beaten anorexia too, so you know that. National Chocolate Caramel Day. Now, I'm looking at this. I was thinking, Josh, more along the lines of a turtle. Aren't those turtle things? Aren't those chocolate and caramel? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. These look good. And, well, I guess we can go with this one also. National Poultry Day. So, you know, eggs. Egg prices coming down lately. I know our liberal friends don't want us to talk about that, but yes, the egg prices have been coming down. I guess what happens is you have more supply, more eggs when you stop killing the chickens. It's amazing how that happens, isn't it?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Hey, let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. Doesn't matter, but yes, I'm going to look at it anyway because I like to know. Dow Jones Industrial Average is now up 331 points. The S&P 500 is up 49.5. The NASDAQ is up 200 points. And oil up 19 cents a barrel. Okay, so the 19 cents a barrel going up, not real meaningful. Now I wonder maybe we'll eventually get lucky and they'll stop charging us these 28% taxes and fees in California. $4.65 a gallon of gasoline is the average here in the state of California. Josh, what are you about 3.25 over there in Nevada? 325, 330. Okay. Gotta love it. National average is 310 a gallon. 310. So who's sticking it to who, Gavin? We'll talk about that. Although I guess he wants to be the next president. So I wonder if he'll do the same thing to the country that he's doing to California. I digress. Let's move right along and continue our conversation. What's going on? Hey, you know something? The big news of the day for the housing market, it's pretty simple. We're going to be talking a lot about the Federal Reserve, 11 o'clock California time. We're going to get the notice of what the Fed's going to do. And I can tell you what they're going to do right now. They're not going to do a thing. So
What are you doing?
yeah, nothing. So the Fed funds rate will remain the same. Now, the question marks and what will move the market today, and it's why I said that what we see in the markets right now really doesn't matter, is basically because we're all watching for two things. Number one, the statement of economic conditions. That's where the Federal Reserve members all put on a dot plot what they think is going to happen in several different areas of the economy. Now, we know it's the Federal Reserve, so we know that generally they're not very accurate. And I don't say that just because of things that I watch and do, but I do remember going, and yes, if you watch us for any length of time, you know that many, many moons ago, I went to Chapman College. It's now Chapman University. And when they did their economic forecast at one time, and I was on the third forecast staff again, long, long time ago. But when they did the economic forecast, they were very, very distraught one year. And they said their numbers were matching what the Fed was saying. And being that the Fed is always wrong, they were very concerned that what's their numbers going to look like? Because Chapman's got a very, very high accuracy rate. So when we watch these things and see that the Fed's always wrong, it just brings us back. Now, the statement of economic conditions, though, does move the market. It's when the Fed, they come out and they say, okay, how many more rate cuts are we expecting this year? What are we forecasting for GDP? What are we forecasting for unemployment? Those things move the market. Now, though, then the other thing that'll move the market is a little bit later in the session or in the day at 11:30, Jerome Powell will start doing his Q&A for about an hour. Some of the reporters come up with some decent questions. A lot of them have some pretty dumb questions. So we'll watch that. That's what moves the market. So that's where we are. That's what's going on. But the thing that we can't forget about what's going on today, don't forget what today is. If you're listening to us on the live broadcast or on ABC News and Talk, the day before it all begins. What are we talking about? It's the big dance. And no, I don't dance, but March Madness. And once again, we are doing our bracket challenge on Ron Siegel Radio. All you have to do is go to rsrlinks.com/bracket, rsrlinks.com/bracket, and you can actually get in on the challenge. You have two ways to win. So it's a $10 buy-in. The first 10% of all of the revenue collected is going to go to a nonprofit organization. And after that, then there in the rules, it says how the rest of it is split up. But if you've got your bracket in on time, and CBS, we use CBS, they close it. I don't know. Josh, take a look at that for me. I think it's around noon tomorrow. I think they close the brackets because that's when the games start. So I think it's noon Eastern time tomorrow. They close the brackets. Now, if you get your money in by Thursday night, and I think we use Venmo or Zelle or something like that, it's all in there. So that's why I don't have to remember it all. If you get your money in by Thursday night, we're going to do a raffle on Monday. And whoever wins that raffle, we put everybody's name on the wheel, just like Wheel of Fortune. We put everyone's name on there. And someone's going to get a $100 Amazon gift card. $100 from Amazon, from your friends at Ron Siegel Radio. You don't have to be present to win. You don't have to do business with us to win. It's just, we like to have the idea. We like playing the game. So it's rsrlinks.com/bracket, rsrlinks.com/bracket. And we'll see who's going to win on that program. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to learn about dogs on deployment. Love it. And we're going to find out what you need to know about homeowners insurance and don't get sued by your debt, 5-step lifeline. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel's the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less? All without having to spend more each month than you spend right now. Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They only tell us the number you put into your mortgage calculator to find out what your principal and interest payment will be. Don't have a mortgage calculator? Not a problem. Get our mobile app. It's free. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. So let's take a look at what rates did yesterday. Conventional 30-year fixed up 6.647. Jumbo 30-year fixed down 6.823. FHA 30-year fixed 6.342. That was up. VA 30-year fixed, best loan on the market for our veterans. No down payment if you qualify. 6.22%. That was up. USDA 30-year fixed, that was down. That's for the rural areas. Generally no down payment on that one. 6.377. If you want our thoughts on the market each and every business day morning, as early as the data allows, you can actually get that. All you have to do is go to rsrlinks.com/market minute, rsrlinks.com/market minute. Let's see what the markets are doing today. 10-year Treasury is up 2 basis points, not much of a move there, 4.31. The mortgage-backed security, that's down 6 basis points. Remember, when the bond goes down, the rate goes up. 6 basis points means it's not moving a whole heck of a lot because the bond is waiting to see what the Federal Reserve does. So they are concluding their 2-day meeting and releasing their statement. Again, 11 o'clock Pacific time. Also included in this statement will be their summary of economic projections, SEP, that gets released every other meeting. The SEP shows where the 19 Fed members project things like unemployment rate, GDP, core PCE, personal consumption expenditure, inflation, and the Fed funds rate will be this year. Looking at the statement of the summary of economic projections, that SEP from December 18th, and not today, December 18th, we're going to talk about, they were projecting unemployment at 4.3, GDP at 2.1, core PCE at 2.5, and the Fed funds rate, 2 cuts. Fed has a lot to contemplate since their meeting, as we have received some softer economic data. Consumer spending figures were negative. The unemployment rate unexpectedly rose to 4.1%. There has been cooler inflation data. Consumer credit has been worrisome, and GDP estimates have been slashed. When closer at the Atlanta Fed GDP Now forecast, they're projecting a negative 1.8%. Negative 1.8% GDP for the first quarter. Ow! Yeah, that's painful. But that doesn't contemplate the foreign trade in gold, which is estimated to account for a plus 2%. And even with that, GDP would be flat and would concern the Fed, as there would be no growth. Something else we have been calling for is an announcement that the Fed will stop their balance sheet runoff. We spoke about that yesterday. We feel good chance that they at least mention it and potentially lay out the plan for when they're going to end the runoff. Once they do, the Fed will be reinvesting roughly $40 billion per month back into treasuries, which would absorb some of the supply and be a good thing for the bond market. So remember, on Fed days, there's a lot of volatility and oftentimes a knee-jerk reaction. So we don't want to remember the markets always overreact. Always overreact. We've told you that for many, many years. So if the markets overreact in a favorable manner, act quickly. If the markets react unfavorably, ignore it, because it'll turn around a little bit. So that's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So if you've been a listener of Ron Siegel Radio, you know that not only do I love nonprofit organizations, but even more, veteran-owned and veteran benefiting nonprofit organizations. Talk about the trifecta. They were happy to have Alisa Johnson, veteran-owned, and benefiting veterans. Good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us a little bit about your story with Dogs on Deployment.
Oh, well, it's a long one. I can't believe it was 2011 when this idea kind of came to mind. I was active duty Marine. I had just commissioned from ROTC, and I had to go to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia for 6 months. I was married to another service member. I'm still married to that same service member. And he was scheduled to deploy at the same time. And we had nowhere for our dog to go. And it got us into this situation where we were very lucky that we were able to rely on a distant relative that was able to step up and help watch our dog for the 6 months that we were both gone. But that situation really inspired something in us as leaders, as junior officers in the military. We were like, well, if we have this problem and we had the resources to be able to find a solution, what about the people in the service that don't have family to rely on, or don't have the financial means to pay for long-term boarding, or perhaps have a pet that they can't, board in a facility? So as we started to research this issue, we realized that there really wasn't an effective solution that provide a national network that allowed military members to connect with volunteers willing to board their pets. And that is what we designed as Dogs on Deployment.
That's pretty amazing, because your story, I've heard so many times that even our veterans will skip going and getting medical care because they've got a pet, and they're not, the military are trained, you don't leave anyone behind. They have nowhere to go with their pets, so they don't get medical care for themselves. Does this help with that at all?
Absolutely. Our organization doesn't just help active duty service members. We also help veterans, honorably discharged veterans that are receiving any sort of medical treatment or inpatient type care, or any kind of job training or transitional assistance. We really look at each case as a case-by-case basis. We also assist military spouses. So in cases where maybe a spouse is deployed and you have the wife at home with children, and maybe they're having some sort of emergency with themselves or a family that they need a little extra support, we're here. And we also support first responders. So our fire, our police, and anybody that's working in the medical care facilities that might need additional support for whatever reason. We saw that obviously a lot in COVID, and that's kind of what inspired us to say, you know what, we built a product that provides this temporary, boarding and connection between people that need help and people who want to help for pets. So how can we include other communities that would need our support?
Pretty amazing. Now, where are you located? Where are you doing this at?
So our organization is completely national and virtually based. Everything is done through our website, dogsondeployment.org. That is where service members can sign up to receive our services, not just pet boarding, but we also have a financial assistance program for help with unexpected vet care or even moving pets overseas, as well as spay and neuter. But we also, we're primarily based in San Diego. If we had to give ourselves a headquarters, that is where both my husband and I started the organization. That is where we have such a large military community in general. But we are a national organization.
Wow. So you guys are covering a lot of ground with what you're talking about. And how did you get the knowledge? I mean, do you have, where was your background? I mean, you got a nonprofit going, you got a national organization going, you're matchmakers, I guess, so to speak, if it's all virtual.
Yeah. I like to always say that Dogs in Deployment was like based on a Match.com system. The program was kind of built before, Rover, Dog Vacay existed. And so it very much works in a similar fashion in terms of it being a virtual online product. But to be completely honest, I had no idea what I was doing. I was 22 years old. I was an industrial systems engineering student at the University of San Diego. I had an aviation contract in the Marine Corps, so I became a C-130 pilot. And I had no nonprofit experience. I had no business experience. It really was a shooting from the hip kind of situation. I had an extremely long list of volunteers throughout the years that helped build the organization into what it is today. And when I left active duty service in 2019, that's when I really realized like I have an opportunity to build this organization, not just as something that's tangential to my life, but something that's more core to what it is that I spend my day-to-day doing. And I actually went back to school to the University of San Diego, thanks to my GI Bill. And I was able to get my master in business, and I started a master in nonprofit, but that is currently on hold.
You got a lot going on. It's interesting that, so just for my own curiosity, because some of the other military nonprofits, I know one of the big issues that they have is the service you're providing. So do nonprofits work with other nonprofits to kind of bridge that gap?
I certainly believe in collaboration. I believe that if we're going to create a community, we actually need to work together. So one of our biggest areas that we try to provide support is with animal shelters. So our organization provides this safety net for a certain demographic of people, being military veterans, first responders. But the real group of community that we're helping is the animal shelters, because we're preventing the unnecessary pet relinquishment, which then fills up animal shelters and uses their resources. Additionally, we're always looking to partner with the organizations that give that first one-on-one support to military and veterans, whether it's through family counseling services, whether it's through caseworkers getting people treatment that they need. And we want to be a support service to them. So something that they are recommending Dogs in Employment if they're the ones that find out, hey, this service member has a pet and they need some support, go to Dogs in Employment.
This is fascinating. I want to learn more about this. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Alisa Johnson. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, what you need to know about homeowners insurance and don't get sued by your debt? 5-step lifeline, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Do you own a luxury home or planning to purchase one? If so, your home may be your largest asset, but your mortgage may also be your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team is offering amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates in the 3%, and 15-year rates in the 2s. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com or call me directly. My number is 800-306-1990, licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. What you need to know about homeowners insurance. That's a biggie here in Southern California. Homeowners insurance is a must-have to protect what's probably your biggest investment, your home. And while you never want to think about worst-case scenarios, the right coverage is basically your safety net. If something goes wrong, here's how it helps you. Covers repairs and rebuilding costs. If your home is damaged by fires, storms, or other covered events, your policy helps pay for repairs or even a full rebuild. Protects your belongings. Many policies can also cover personal items like furniture, electronics, and clothing if they're stolen or damaged. Provides liability coverage if someone gets injured on your property. Homeowners insurance can help cover medical bills or legal expenses. In the simplest sense, it gives you peace of mind. Knowing you have protection against unexpected events helps you worry less. And with such a big purchase, having that reassurance is a big deal. And while your first insurance payment will be wrapped into your closing costs, you want this to be a part of your budget beyond closing day too. That's because it's a recurring expense you'll have once you get the keys to your home. Here's what you need to know to help you budget for this important part of home ownership today. Costs and claims are rising in recent years. Insurance costs have been climbing. According to insurance.com, there are 4 big reasons behind the jump in premiums. More severe weather events and wildfires are leading to higher claims. That's a real big surprise, isn't it?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Insurance companies are pulling out of high-risk areas, reducing options for homeowners in some states. Past rate increases haven't kept up with the rise in claims, and the cost to rebuild or repair homes has gone up due to higher material and labor costs. Basically, disasters are happening more often, repair costs more, and insurers have to adjust their rates to keep up. Data from ICE Mortgage Technology helps paint the picture of how the average yearly premium has climbed over the last decade. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 and FM 98.1 video feeds, you're seeing a chart of the average homeowner's insurance premium up 14%. Remember, that's a national number. California, unfortunately, we're higher than that. What you can do about it, homeowners insurance is a must to protect your home and your investment, but with rising costs, you'll want to do your homework to balance the best coverage you can get at the best possible price. Homeowners insurance rates vary widely based on location, provider, and coverage. Shop around and compare quotes before settling on a policy. And don't forget to ask about discounts. Things like security systems or bundling with auto insurance could help lower your insurance costs. Bottom line, when you're planning to buy a home, it's important to look beyond just your mortgage payment. You'll also want to budget for your homeowner's insurance policy. It gives you a lot of protection against the unexpected. And while it's true these costs are rising, there are things you can do to try to get the best possible price. What's your biggest concern when it comes to budgeting for home ownership? Give me a call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, and ask your agent about the concept of a higher deductible using a Roth IRA. No one talks about that, but we do on Ron Siegel Radio because I am a certified liability advisor and I help families build wealth through strategic debt management. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation with Alisa. Did I get it right that time?
Yes.
Alisa Johnson. I hate it when I get names wrong because then I'm old, so I forget. And the next time forgive me if I do it wrong.
It's okay. I'm just one Lisa. Lisa.
Alisa. Okay. So let's get back to our conversation. We're talking about dogs on deployment or for deployment?
On deployment.
Ugh, my notes. I'm really slow today. Must be Monday. Dogs
Oh.
on Deployment. Dogsondeployment.org.
Yes.
So how do you know? I mean, because I know I watch, and one of the things that drives me completely insane, angry, is I see a lot of people abusing the service dog benefits.
Oh.
Where they go and they buy the jacket and it's not really a service dog, and those people that understand service dogs realize that service dogs are not going to play with you, and they're not going to be when they're working, right? They're trained to do their job. And when you see them running around and not doing their job and playing with kids at the restaurant, that's not a service dog. So how do you get from the service dog and the veteran needs to board them somewhere else? How would somebody like me, who's a layperson, be able to deal with the dog?
So can you repeat the question one more time?
How does the layperson that doesn't know how to deal with a service dog kind of take over serving, hosting the dog while it's the dog's owner is getting whatever services they need?
We don't have a lot of service dogs that necessarily get put into our system. Most of our dogs that we support are companion pets.
Gotcha.
And our organization doesn't actually do anything particularly with service dogs. Now, you are correct. There's definitely has been a history of there being this kind of unclear area about what a service dog is and who should be classified as a service dog, because frankly, there's nothing that's really controlling it. So it's kind of the wild, wild west when it comes to the service dog industry. So I don't want to speak too much to that because it's not my expertise. But when it does come to animals that are in Dogs on Deployment's network, these are usually companion animals. And we have pets that range from dogs that are very well trained and then dogs that are not well trained. And it is true that when you sign up to be a volunteer, you have to be very clear about what you're willing to take on in terms of a pet's behavior or a pet's needs. And that's why application process, we have a very extensive process for the pet owner to put in, this is my pet, these are the behaviors of my pet, these are potentially problematic issues. And we make recommendations for both the boarder and the pet owner to ensure that they have honest conversation about pet behaviors, that they do a meet and greet in some place that is non-territorial, like a dog park or something, especially if you're introducing a companion pet of a service member to one of your own pets. And then we also recommend doing a meet and greet or a trial run for like over the weekend or something, just to make sure that you're comfortable with the pet. But our biggest advice to pet owners is don't try to hide if your dog has issues. I mean, my dog JD, one of the biggest reasons why I couldn't find somebody initially to watch him is because he was a horrible dog. He was one of those dogs that jumped on you. He bolted out the door. He didn't like to come back, but God, was he just the sweetest, loving, fluffalump, and he was my soul dog. So, I had to find a home where he had the ability to run and have space, and he got his energy out. So that way he was better behaved for the family that was watching him. And I was very lucky again that was a distant relative that was able to assist.
Interesting. How long are the commitments for that people will take someone's pet?
So generally, we're talking about 6 months for any sort of military deployment. That is our average boarding. However, we have boardings that are much shorter than that because you have service members, especially in SoCal. We have a lot of service members that go to like 29 Palms for a few weeks, or they have to go to ship for a few weeks and then they come back. And then we also have service members that might have to be stationed someplace. So for example, if you have a service member that owns a dog and they get orders to go to Guam for 2 years, they might be able to take that dog. However, if you knew anything about the airline industry and pet transport and quarantine requirements and stuff, it's becoming increasingly difficult for animals to be transported overseas, and very, 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 very expensive. A couple of years ago, you might be looking at $2,000 to ship a dog from San Diego to, say, Hawaii. you might now be looking at $8,000 for that same animal.
Wow.
And so we're definitely seeing more pets that are needing longer boarding periods because the service member is going someplace that they just either can't take their pet or they can't afford to take their pet.
Yeah, I would think that it might be, especially if you've got a big fluffy that, some of the housing is probably not conducive on some of the bases for that. So
Absolutely. Between base housing, between breed restrictions, between a pet's own health, if you have a senior aged pet, you're not going to want to put them in a 17-hour around the world flight where something could happen to them. And so we really look, again, each case is a case by case basis. And we try to make the best decision with the pet owner. Boarding is the option, or do we try to provide financial assistance to try to help bring that pet to the next duty station?
that's an interesting part of it, is getting that financial assistance, because if you talk about, just going from here to Hawaii being $8,000, I had no clue it was that kind of money. That's amazing.
Yes, it has gone up tremendously since the COVID era. And also there's been a lot of restrictions about pets being able to be in cabin versus they have to be shipped as transport or cargo, which increases the pricing. So there's a lot of factors at play. So if you are a service member and you have a pet and you know that there's an option for you to move overseas, you need to do your due diligence and your homework beforehand, so you're prepared before that happens.
Interesting. Yeah, that's so do you have that kind of education on your website as well?
We do. So we try to keep everything on our website very clear and concise to these are our programs and this is how we help. And then we also have a blog, dogsondeployment.blog, which has a ton of articles over the last several years where we talk about everything from pet PCSing to the importance of spay and neuter, to sharing success stories about our reunions. And so we highly encourage, if you're interested in either joining our program, supporting our program, or getting help from our program, that you go to our website and check out all of our resources.
Okay, now you're going to have to help our audience out, because even though I'm a veteran mortgage advisor and I understand PCSing,
Yes,
I bet a lot of our audience doesn't know what a PCSing means.
A permanent change of station. So as a service member, you don't have necessarily a choice of where you get to live. You are at the whim of what is needed by your military command. And so you might receive orders or a permanent change of station to move from your hometown to another base. And that move is, while it's covered by the military, they'll pay for your household goods. They don't necessarily pay for your pet, except for a small stipend, which generally doesn't cover the full cost of moving a pet.
Pretty amazing, the things. And when you look at the earnings statement,
Yes.
it's amazing what the military earnings statement. I'm working with a family right now moving from Japan, PCSing from Japan to 29 Palms, exactly what you're talking about. So we get it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to get into the financial side of Dogs on Deployment, how we can help. We'll also talk about don't get sued by your debt, 5-step lifeline, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments, paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you a military veteran, first responder, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, then you're a Ron Siegel VIP hero and you may qualify for rewards up to $5,000 to $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with a Ron Siegel Radio partner. As a valued VIP hero, you receive special savings, rebates, and valuable discounts. Learn more by calling me, Ron Siegel, at 1-800-306-1990 or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. It's just our way of saying thank you.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And hey, because I can do it, we're going to push off our topic about getting sued over debt so we can talk more about dogs on deployment. But I will tell you the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeselect.com, GetHomeselect.com. It is the best loan on the market if you want to have your home paid off in 8 to 10 years without having extra payments and minimizing your interest expense. GetHomeselect.com. So we are continuing our conversation with Alisa Johnson. We're talking a little bit about dogs on deployment, and we've learned a little bit about the organization. And every organization every organization I talk to has the exact same challenge, and it always comes to Benjamin. It's the dollars that it takes to run organizations because they don't run themselves. So how do you finance the organization, Alisa?
Well, that is such an important conversation to have. When I started this organization, I really was nonprofit. I started to get donations for the organization, and I just didn't know what to do with them. I had a fixed cost for what it was to develop my website, which, by the way, to run our website, our network, which is the core of what we provide, is expensive. Programming costs, server costs, database costs, cloud, computing costs, all of it adds up. And without those services, we don't exist. And so In the beginning, as I kind of like got to this point where I was making money for the organization, it was like, okay, what do I start doing with this excess money? And that's where we started to start our other programs, giving financial assistance for unexpected veterinary bills, for the pet PCSing, and for spay and neuter. But then you start to get into this balance where your programs are really starting to be impacted by your level of fundraising and the level of public support through grants, through individual giving, through sponsorships, to where you're able to say, okay, this is my cost for my website. This is what I'd like to put towards these kind of extra programs that provide additional benefits to our service members. And then this is what it just costs to run our, our small team and things that we need, like having our own insurance policies, having our own, Adobe subscriptions so that we can read PDFs. Like, we are a business, but we don't have any source of revenue. We have to rely on the public support for us to exist. And that's really where these kinds of conversations are so important, because there are so many avenues for people to support Dogs on Deployment or any charity of their support or of their choice, doing by what they do in their careers. It's all about creating give back programs within your own, business.
Well, that's you brought something up that kind of hit me as well, because if you're listening to us today and you work for a big corporation, a lot of large corporations have matching programs.
They do.
I know when I worked at Merrill Lynch 100 years ago, if an organization was on the approved list, and it didn't take a lot as long as they were a legitimate organization, Merrill Lynch would match our giving up to a certain amount. And a lot of people don't even think about looking into their companies about what does that matching gift look like.
Absolutely.
My son works at Disney. They do it, I know, as well.
Yes, we appreciate matching programs so much because it really does double your impact of your donation. But, when you are feeling economically stressed yourself, whether you're an individual, a small business, or a major corporation, the first thing that goes is charitable giving. That is the easiest thing for people to cut off of the top. And the unfortunate reality is that when that starts happening, you start to have organizations that become very resource dependent and then resource starved. And when that starts to happen, your programs start to fall apart. And then when I was talking about community earlier, when you think of Dogs on Deployment as sort of this buffer for the animal shelters and for the veteran organizations, what happens when you start to lose those kind of central services? You start to get more pets that are put into shelters, and then you start to have a greater impact on those resources. You have more veterans that are not receiving help because they don't have something for their pet. And then what's going on in that community? And so really, we're all collaborating together. And when one or multiple types of these organizations start to get resource depleted, that's when you really start to see problems within the people that you're trying to help.
So do you have events that people go to give, or do you just go right onto your website to give? Tell us a little bit about that.
If you would like to give, everything is done virtually for our organization. We're a very small team, and we rely on volunteers to do those kinds of public events and whatever. So if you're interested in supporting our organization, we're presently looking for a San Diego coordinator, for example. So if you're in SoCal and you would like to be a part of our community or our organization, we would love to have a conversation with you. But if you would just like to go to our organization and support through a donation, your support will go to ensuring that our Hero Pet Boarding Network, which is our online network that allows the service members to apply for assistance and then be matched or connected with a boarder, that is where your donation goes to be supporting. We also have those other programs, our Veterinary Assistance Fund, as well as our Pet PCS and our Spay and Neuter programs. And you can even designate if you would like to support an individual program, or if you would like to make a general donation. Everything is done online, just dogsondeployment.org, and click the donate button.
Makes it nice and simple, right? I mean, just go right there, dogsondeployment.org, donate. Make it a part of your regular habits. And if if your company, like we were just introduced to Alisa recently by another business that donates a portion of their proceeds to nonprofit organizations. So keep your eyes open, because there's a lot of businesses out there that all you have to do is say, hey, something, send the donations to Dogs on Deployment. They're always looking. It's a great mission. I mean, anything, my opinion is, as long as it's a good organization, and there are plenty of them out there that are a little more deceitful, but you go to Charity Navigator and you can take a look at almost any nonprofit, and you can see, is your money going to where they're telling you it's going to? Is it helping the people they profess to be helping?
Mhm.
And give a donation. And I'm going to suggest go to Dogs on Deployment, help our veterans. I say it all the time. I couldn't do what I do doing a conservative radio show in California if it wasn't for our military men and women who are out there giving us freedom all the time. So support them. They've supported us, and they give us our way of life. So thanks for what you do, Alisa. I appreciate you. Not only you and your husband military service, but what you're doing now for the next generation of veterans. So thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you for the time and the conversation, and looking forward to having some of your supporters become our supporters.
That'd be great. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean, who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.